2006 was peculiar. It brought a timeless classic that I still love to this day. This classic is Night at the Museum. If y'all not familiar with this film, this was a timeless classic that has stood the test of time, and it's already got 3 movies. It was really huge when it first came out in 2006, and it was based off a book by the same name. The movie was obviously more popular than the book, and I'm going to give you my reasons as to why I love this franchise. So let's get started. The main character, Larry Daly DeVices, played by Ben Stiller. This was the movie that got me into Ben Stiller, and he's now my favourite actor as a result of it. Every time I think of Ben Stiller, it always reminds me of the Night at the Museum franchise and, just nostalgia in general. There was a few other casts of characters. There was the guy who played Lightning McQueen. There was Dick Van Dyke and Robert Williams, and that guy who played Laurel from Stan and Ollie 2018. There was also a monkey actor in this, and believe it or not, this monkey wasn't CGI'd like I initially thought it was, but rather a real live actor who's actually been in other films as well. Now, most of the movies from the 90s and early 2000s had soundtracks that I didn't quite like, but Night at the Museum had a really standout and memorable soundtrack, and the soundtrack was made by Alan Silverstone, the same guy who made Polar Express's soundtrack. In all, the first Night at the Museum movie is one of my favourite films of all time, and I'll give it a 9.9 out of 10. Moving on to the sequel, Battle of the Smithsonian, this was one of the first movies that I seen at cinemas, or the third movie that I seen at cinema. Yet despite its low rating on IMDb and other websites, I still particularly enjoyed this one. In fact, I remember when I first seen this film at cinemas, I remember loving it more than the first movie, purely because it had more stuff. I mean, it had a giant Pacific octopus, the Wright brothers, and it even had the infamous villains, Ivan the Terrible, Napoleon Bonaparte, and Al Capone. It's a criminally underrated sequel, and I do think it's very easy to watch, easy to get through, should I say, and as a result, I'll give it a 9.1 out of 10. Now, with the third movie, I'm going to actually talk about this one. It's the most peculiar out of the 2 last movies, and this is the only one that ever takes place in the UK. It introduced new characters, new monsters, and surprisingly had a few gags that I actually found quite hilarious. Now, it's a great film in and on itself, but the only problem I had with it didn't really give me the same charm that the last 2 films had. But it's still a good movie no matter what, and I will watch it any day over the Alvin and the Chipmunk franchise. And without further ado, I'll give that film a 5.9 out of 10. At its core, Night at the Museum is one of those films that you love when you're a kid and you grow up and you still like it. It's a one-of-a-kind franchise, and it is a near-perfect one. I'm not saying it's flawless. I'm not calling it a flawless masterpiece. It does have its flaws, and I have noticed them. But as a whole, the whole franchise just holds a special place in my heart. It even encouraged me to go to museums all around the UK and even the US. Now, if you haven't seen this film already, I do highly recommend checking it out. Check the whole franchise out. If you liked it, then that's great. If you didn't like it, that's also great as well. That is it for this video. I'm Star Invader, and I'll see you all in the next video.